in trying to deal with radicalization, the first thing one encounters actually is a great deal of ignorance. A great deal of ignorance on the part of those who are actually trying to deal with it, because they do not understand the phenomenon that they're actually dealing with. The British government has just resumed a negotiation with what it describes as the political wing of Hezbollah. I do not believe there is such a thing as the political wing of Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a movement. The government has to be consistent if it wishes also to demand consistency on the part of those. And one of the things we condemn is those individuals and organisations which say, oh, well, no, we don't espouse and we don't advocate violence in the UK, but of course abroad it's quite another matter. No, that's not on. But the government has to be consistent itself. At the end of the day, actually, it's building resilient communities, or communities that are resilient to extremism, that will be the way through, actually, to undermining the appeal of these people who I would describe as wicked. And finally, the UK, and I don't think it's unique to us, but the UK needs actually to promote the idea of what it is to be British. What are you asking people to integrate into if they don't have a strong sense, and the community, the majority community, does not have a strong sense of what it actually stands for? So we need to teach our history, we need to promote our institutions, and we need to do rather more conscious nation building. And I think we can learn some lessons from the United States in this respect about how we actually identify ourselves. And counter-radicalization strategies need to focus on the ideologies that underpin them, that lead to violence. So you do actually need to talk about what you actually believe in.
The interests of British taxpayers are simple. They're the same interests as everyone. They're building the platform for a long-term peace. There'll always be voices calling for violence, whether it's the Hamases, the Irans of this world. And if the Palestinian leadership attempts to be moderate without having prepared the ground among their people, then the Palestinian people will seek new leadership, and they will in the end get it. I think that's what we've been seeing over the last few years, in Gaza in particular. So Kennedy was right. Peace does not rest in the charters and covenants alone. It lies in the hearts and minds of all people. Putting money into the territories on the scale that the Western world is creates responsibilities. It means that the West can't just lecture Israeli and Palestinian people about what needs to be done for conflict. They've got to look to their own responsibilities.
I think the vast majority of Muslims are already separated from al-Qaeda, but in places like Yemen and Afghanistan and Somalia, where al-Qaeda is most deeply entrenched, a just and lasting peace for the Palestinians wouldn't make a shred of difference. The biggest radicalizer is fertility that hovers at 6 or 7, and masses of economically superfluous young men of fighting age between 15 and 29. If the state can't control these young men, someone else will. And if society can't offer dignified pursuits for the 4th and 5th and 6th sons, someone else will. There's hope. By 2030, these societies will have passed through the youth bulge. Fertility is already falling, in some places steeply. And when it falls, the radicals will lose their pool of recruits. I think the present example is Iran, where a revolt is brewing, as we heard in the last panel, against the agenda of Ahmadinejad and the hardliners.